All right. Everything is looking good. Everything is sounding good over here. It's 6:59. Hello, everybody. Good to have you back for our Wednesday night show. It's Quite Frankly a little bit of time up front for the pre-show, get some headlines and random stuff out of the way. Then we'll get into some main themes for this Wednesday, December 18th, 2024, or 2024, however you like to say it. Plenty to do. I have some surprises for you. I think we have some good stuff just in general. What I wanted to discuss, aside from some stuff up front, is I have this great article about some silver scroll, a Christmas scroll that was found in Europe somewhere that really brings the evidence of Christianity being north of the Alps, even farther back than a lot of people, thought in some cases. So that I thought that was cool. A silver scroll, just a silver amulet. And then I want to get into the topic of Christmas ghost stories. Everybody knows the song, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, and it has that line. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the stories of the triumphs of Christmas is long, long ago, or something like that. Andy Williams. Well, the other thing, that doesn't matter. The second part. The first part is all that matters. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmas is long, long ago. What the hell are those ghost stories? Well, I found some, very concise summaries of some stories that are about like pre or just about Victorian. Anything that's not a Christmas Carol, because that's the most obvious one. And then I just want to turn it over to you guys and gals. Ghost stories that you have in your life. Any kind of supernatural event that has happened to you. Doesn't have to be scary. A supernatural happening around Christmas time. Or is there any specific story, a ghost story, that you always tell around Christmas time that isn't a Christmas Carol? And in the second half, we have some more fun over there and bonuses and you name it. Okay, so that's what we have going on tonight. And other than that, I just implore everybody who shows up and tunes in, you have no clue how much we've been able to do with so little over the years. And in the new year, I just hope I can bring 2% of this audience more on board to sponsor us at the lowest level possible, even, because it would go such a long way in competing with all the big dogs, because, we just kind of sit at our own table for the most part. And another year is in the books. And there's a lot of time that goes into it, and I love it. It's passion, and passion drives it. But passion does not attract a lot of help, and passion does not fund all the projects that we're going to need and the additional help we're going to need for those projects. So I just I hope that you all consider becoming a sponsor in the new year or in the old year, whatever the hell you want to do. All right, so thank you for that, and visit all of our affiliates on the website and get some last minute Christmas presents. I even got chocolate coming to me, express from the Polgars out there with Yes Cacao. I like those wild balls. You ever have those wild balls that they make? It sounds dirty, but it's not. The Yes Cacao wild balls. You'd love them. So that's what I have. All right, so on to the next thing. Tomorrow night is going to be really great because we have Father Jason Sharon coming on to talk about the Star of Bethlehem, the Three Magi, Providence in 2024, and who the hell knows what else. Should be a really great show tomorrow night. I can't wait to do that. And then on Friday, the 20th, the death of George Washington. We're doing it 2 years in a row. That'll be nice. And other little things to tie up the week, because after Friday there's only one more show before Christmas break, and we got a lot of traditions that we built up over the years, and we're gonna roll out another one tonight, as you're going to see in the second half. But there's that. very cozy, and I just can't believe that the time is ticking away like it is. Already the 18th. Now that buffer zone that we have, that one full week before Christmas, that is, you still have plenty of time to do things and all that stuff, it's starting to slip away from us. Well, that's what happens when you're having a good time, and I think that's what we've been doing. All right, first thing up on the grab bag is as follows. We're going back to the Quite Frankly Advent calendar that is featured in the December edition of the Quite Frankly Bulletin. So hopefully you've read it, because it's for everybody. It's open to the public, and go check it out. Today's the 18th. Well, during the show tonight, I hope that you all sit down, take out your Mod Podge, and craft yourself a Christmas DIY, or make something fun. I know what you can do. Write letters to everybody. Instead of giving Christmas cards, just write letters to people. Even if you're going to hand deliver it to them. Write one to your parents, to your cousins, your favorite aunt, your favorite uncle, your siblings, whatever the hell it is. Right? That's a great Christmas gift right there. Just sharing some thoughts and gratitude written by hand. Man, oh man, that goes along. And who the hell does that? You know? So there's a little Christmas DIY that you can do right now. You got a pen? You got some paper? Great. And then on the back of the paper, do what I do. Trace your hand and then write high five, so that they'll always be able to give you a high five whenever they need it. See? I'm giving you, there's Quite Frankly's Christmas DIY of the night. So go ahead and take that to the bank. All right. Into the coins again, into the crypto again. I got to talk to you guys about this one. I brought this one up in particular because it pays some more. It's like a little bit of a follow-up on what happened with the Hawk coin, with the Hawk Tua girl. But there's no arrests there. But still, it kind of like takes all of that in. It's in the same kind of category. Meme coins like Fartcoin are riding Trump's victory to huge valuations. Experts say it may have only begun. The carnival casino era of cryptocurrencies has come back with a vengeance. Yes, it's called Fartcoin. Yes, it is totally useless. And yes, it has nevertheless grown in value over the past week to a market capitalization of more than $800 million. About equal to those of Office Depot, Guess Jeanswear, and the parent company of Steak and Shake. Fartcoin is worth, as of right now, Fartcoin has more money, more funds circulating throughout it, or just as much as Office Depot and Guess Jeans. In the day after this article published, Fartcoin's value seesawed, starting at about $620 million at 7 a.m. and rose to a peak of $889 million before settling back down to $836 million at 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time Monday. The carnival casino era of cryptocurrencies has come back with a vengeance, riding a broader wave of investment in Bitcoin that itself was spurred by the election of Donald Trump. It's minting millionaires while potentially harming others, yet everyone, even the losers, seem to be in on the joke. The wave of meme coiners is a mix of longtime Bitcoin holders and people simply desperate to change their fortunes in an era of sky-priced homes and equities, according to Toe Bautista. Can you imagine the first name, Toe? Name is Toe. Toe Bautista, research analyst for GETTR, a decentralized finance group. While many meme coin traders flush from gains, thanks to Bitcoin's 130% increase this year, 50% of which has come since Trump's election last month, are simply, quote, moving down the risk curve into areas of pure speculation, Bautista said. Others see the potential of making 10 times their money overnight. A lot of people, a lot of it is people thinking, hey, I can get some sort of edge by having a better chance at a lottery ticket. Meme coin buyers and sellers alike, for the most part, aware that they're trading activity amounts to the riskiest kind of gambling. See, here's the thing. It's true. I mean, this is why I'm trying to collect more and more information, gaining more and more of a functional understanding of what the cryptocurrency, the utility could be. Because as far as, we're not going to keep beating a dead horse with tangible value. Not going to touch that because we know where that goes. But as far as utility of the technology or something like that, there's nothing there, but it's just you're investing in the lifespan of a joke. That's what you're doing. And you have to understand and you have to be able to see that lifespan and that life cycle of a joke, you know? Because, you go into the stock market and you're looking into one company or another, their research and development department. You do research on this. What do they do? What service? What technology are they putting out? What new drug is this company putting out? What did the clinical trials show you? How big of an impact is that going to have on the world, on the market, on health, and blah, blah, blah. And you can start really evaluating and speculating and projecting into the future, at least hopefully, what product, what service, what company is going to take off. And you want to be able to ride their coattails to the top and maybe, park a little bit of your investment in them. And that's of course where the insider trading comes in too. But some people are good enough at just reading the tea leaves and seeing how the world is going and how everything is going. This has nothing to do with a new drug coming to market, has nothing to do with a new widget, a new gadget, no nothing. It's Fartcoin. I can't even tell you some of them just because I know you have kids out there. I tell you off air, no doubt about it. I was laughing about it with my buddies the other night. I almost bought $100 of one just because I thought it was just hilarious. If I had nothing but bullshit in my little Exodus wallet. So, that's it. They're worthless, they say. You're betting on the greater fool, he said, Bautista, referring to the idea that someone else will pay a higher price for a given meme coin. You're thinking, I'm early to this. Someone will buy the bags. But there's no underlying driver of its value. Right. And then a little bit farther down, they talk about the Hawk Tuah. There's operational risks as well to meme coins, as illustrated by the rise and rapid fall of Hawk Coin, released earlier this month by Haley Welch, a Tennessee woman who has parlayed a viral lewd street interview into a successful podcast. Over the course of 24 hours, Hawk's market cap peaked at $500 million before collapsing to $28 million, prompting complaints about dramatic losses in funds. Those complaints have not been independently verified by NBC News. Then they're still in here saying it was sniper algorithmic bots designed to sell prices. And here's the thing. Bautista said that indeed, algorithmic trading, which has long been a part of mainstream trading on Wall Street, which we all talked about in that 4chan post from 2016, 2017, that said most of the world financial markets is really just on a technological feedback loop. Go back to the episode that we did called Happiness Machines, or the Happiness Machine. And I think in the second half, we revisited that thread. It was earlier on in June. It was in June. Algorithmic trading, which has long been part of mainstream trading on Wall Street, is now routinely deployed in the meme coin space. He estimates that the top 20 traded coins in crypto, half are meme coins whose trades are almost entirely driven by bots designed to spot and respond to price movements. It's like you got to beat the machine. You got to go out there and beat the machine just to be able to make $1,000 over Fartcoin or Footcoin. That's where we're at. Hey, here's something for all the UK listeners out there. I need to know if you have run into any transgender fish over the last, I don't know when the hell it is. Any of our friends in UK can confirm this. Apparently, 20% of male fish tested in English rivers are now transgender or intersex with both female and male characteristics due to chemicals flushed from UK households. And people are like, what? How does this happen? Well, it's the gay bomb. We tried doing that to Cuban men. Tried bombing them with atrazine to make them more effeminate and not want to fight us. But yes, there's another meme for you. Should be frog coin, something like that. Anyhow, I can't believe that this is 20%. Don't eat any fish coming from the UK. Where do you eat the fish? What fish do you even trust now anymore? Anyhow, there you go. So anybody from the UK, let me know if you've seen any transgender fish. Are the fish clearly trans? Like when you see them, say, oh, there's something going on here. Here's a quick one, a creepy little video from Stephen Baldwin. I think this is Stephen Baldwin. We were listening to Daniel Baldwin the other night. All the Baldwins are cracking up. I don't know what the hell's going on. This has to be a short statement that is being issued about all of the celebrity exposures that's going on right now, whether it be, the fallout from Puff Daddy and God knows what else, and all the speculation about what is going to be made public once Donald Trump and people like Kash Patel get in there and start working in a month from now. Listen to what Stephen Baldwin had to say. I mean, he doesn't have to say much. First of all, it's very creepy that he's using a filter to de-age himself, because you can see at first he's got a little bit of bags under the eyes and stuff like that, and then his face smooths out. It's very weird for a guy to put a filter on his face like this. You saw that? You saw that? He filtered his face. That's weird. Unless it's an old filter. And he said, no, I want people to see just how well preserved I am. And he smoothed out. Anyway.
It is all of them. All of them. And not one will be able to escape.
That's weird. So, if he's talking about what I think he's talking about, I'm pretty sure most of this audience believes him. It's all of them. Now, as far as who's not going to be able to escape, I don't know, because much of law enforcement is in on that. You can't. When you say all of them, we're talking about an A+ tier level of criminality. We're talking A+, A-list level of criminality, which means it needs A-list protection. That is judges, that is government, that is, but then again, is there going to really be a new sheriff in town? So, has the wall cracked for real? That's what we're going to see. Will Stephen Baldwin have the last laugh? All right, and there's one more thing here before we kick this one off, as if it's not already been kicked off. There's a man firmly within the this like Blue Anon. I had never seen him before, but there's a new Blue Anon person every day. It's crazy. You just think about the world we were living in. Our group, all the personalities that popped up, and the things we were reading, the things that we were debating. It's just incredible to see this happening for them, but it's all rooted in absolute bullshit. Now, you can say that Q was bullshit through and through. The information that was being discussed with whatever Q is, whether it be AI or an actual, some other kind of government psyop, or a real way to start stimulating thought. The delivery agent was the most controversial thing. And of course, the promises of what the resolution was going to be. That was the most controversial thing. The interpretation of what the current events that we were watching, and a lot of the background, the players, the sources of money, and all that was pretty damn good. And it made normies a little bit more. It softened normies a little bit up, give them a little bit more reason to listen to what the OG truthers in their life had to say. But these people have nothing. They are spinning webs with bullshit. It's nothing. There's nothing here. And here this guy, his name is Jerry. And he said that Donald Trump will never be able to make it to the White House because 11 million Americans will storm Washington, D.C. on January 20th. Air Force vet turned TikTok influencer Jerry Doran. Maybe it's a joke? Doesn't seem like he's joking. Trump will be stopped on December 20th. That's in 2 days. Due to Executive Order 13848, if that doesn't happen, 11 million Americans will storm D.C. on January 20th and demand that Trump be stopped. Oh. Like an insurrection? He says the 3% rule states that if you have 3% of a group of people's population, the 3% of a particular population, if they gather en masse, they can change everything. Was that the Maharishi formula or something like that? Thanks. So here he is. Just listen to him so you can.
We have executive order coming out 13848, right? It's going to be implemented. It's been out. Donald Trump helped create it. And it's going to come back to bite him in the ass because what it does is it says how we have to proceed when we realize that there has been outside interference in our elections.
What's the outside interference, Jer? What is it, Jer? Come on, Jer. You got to tell me. You got to tell everybody. What the hell are we talking about? What are we talking about here? Well, it's obviously Starlink.
There definitely has been. They're going to reveal that on the 20th of December. Because 45 days from November 6th brings us to December 20th.
Oh my gosh. It's just, isn't it incredible? Where the hell is Rolling Stone right now? Where is Rolling Stone right now? I mean, where are they pulling it from? The only thing I wish that we had is that source. I mean, the source of all this is their desperation, and they are just rudderless people to begin with, even when they thought they had everything under control. So now in this state of helplessness where they're looking at an electoral college loss, they don't know how to explain 11 million, speaking of 11 million people. Yeah. Is that who's going to show up? The 11 million people who didn't vote suddenly in 2024? My gosh. No, that's too bad. I was really curious about Trump's second term, but I guess now it's not going to happen. Shucks. Oh, shucks. 11 million people are going to show up. Approximately the number of people who didn't show up to vote this year because they never existed. So I wonder who the 11 million are going to be. Is it like the Men of the Mountains from Lord of the Rings? The Ghost Army from Lord of the Rings? I guess that's apropos for tonight since we're going to be talking about ghost stories. There's going to be a ghost army that shows up on the 20th of January in D.C., led by Jerry. So watch out. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the other side of the intro.
What is it?
I don't know. Let's see. Some kind of message.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Never understood that. How did she get up into that attic? Anyway, that's a story for another time. So there you have it. Okay, so here's the first thing I want to bring up tonight. I thought this was a really interesting story. And this came out of All Things Interesting, allthatisinteresting.com. Here's the headline. Archaeologists find oldest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps inside of an 1,800-year-old silver amulet. Okay. A tiny scroll hidden within the inch-long amulet contained 18 lines of explicitly Christian text inscribed in Latin. Hidden for 1,800 years, a tiny silver amulet buried in a Roman grave near Frankfurt, Germany, has now revealed the earliest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps. In 2018, archaeologists unearthed a Roman cemetery near Frankfurt. In one grave, which dated to the 3rd century AD, they found the remains of a man wearing an amulet under his chin. Upon examination, researchers discovered the amulet held a fragile silver scroll. However, due to its delicate condition, the scroll couldn't be deciphered until this year when advanced imaging technology finally revealed that it contained 18 lines of Christian text written in Latin. The inscription is notable for its explicitly Christian content, which invokes the name of Jesus Christ, affirms faith, and expresses protection through divine intervention. During the 3rd century AD, Christianity was still a forbidden religion in the Roman Empire, and Christians often practiced in secret to avoid persecution. The existence of this amulet suggests that the man buried with it had a strong personal connection to his faith, despite the risks, offering new insight into the spread of Christianity across Europe and the ordinary lives of early Christians. In 2018, researchers discovered a Roman cemetery at the ancient site of Nida outside of Frankfurt. While excavating the burial ground, archaeologists came across the grave of a man who died between 230 and 270 AD. Inside the grave were funerary objects, a clay jug, and an incense bowl, but it was the silver amulet under the man's chin that piqued the interest of the experts. It was just over an inch long, and the man likely wore it on a cord around his neck while he was alive. It's almost like an OG scapular. You know what I mean? I wear my grandfather's scapular whenever I have a horrible dream, and I need a little bit of more backup when it's time to get back to sleep. Just throw that around my neck. Lauren usually knows what happens. We'll wake up the next morning. I got that. If I'm getting strangled by my scapular, it's usually because there was some real bad shit going on. Sometimes the dreams are just outrageous. Close examination of the amulet revealed that it housed a tiny scroll made of silver foil. It was clear that there was an inscription on the scroll, but it was too thin and brittle, so thin and brittle, that researchers couldn't simply unroll it. Experts spent the next 6 years trying to figure out how to decipher the text inside. In May of 2024, researchers were able to scan the scroll using state-of-the-art CT technology at the Leibniz Center of Archaeology in Mainz. Here's a quote. The challenge in the analysis was that the silver sheet was rolled, but after about 1,800 years, it was, of course, also bent and pressed, said Dr. Ivan Kalandra, the head of the imaging lab at in the statement from the Goethe University in Frankfurt. Quote, using the CT, we were able to scan it in a very high resolution and create a 3D model. And for the first time, researchers could see what was inscribed on the scroll. The scan reveals 18 lines written in Latin. It says some of it is indecipherable, so it says they believe in the name of and Saint Titus, holy, 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 in the name of Jesus Christ, Son of God, the Lord of the world, resists with, and they think strengths, resists with strengths all attacks, setbacks. The God grants entry to well-being. May this means of salvation, they think, protect the man who surrenders himself to the will of the Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, since before Jesus Christ every knee bows, those in heaven, those on earth, and those under the earth, and every tongue confesses Jesus Christ. So that does sound like an OG scapular that you wear around your neck, and you just want to have it with you on the day that you go. So researchers were stunned that they just uncovered the earliest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps. So how does the Silver Scroll, how is it rewriting early Christian history? While scholars have discovered references to Christians in Gaul in the late century, 2nd century AD, this scroll is the first reliable evidence of Christianity north of the Alpine region before the 4th century AD. It predates all other proof by at least 50 to 100 years. This is extraordinary in itself, but the fact that the man in the grave was wearing the amulet at all adds another layer of intrigue to the discovery. Quote, in the 3rd century AD, at a time when Christianity was still subject to reprisals, but was steadily growing cult, they say, It was quite a risk to identify oneself as a Christian, Dr. Marcus Gwenschenberger, a Frankfurt government official, said in a statement. For one man from Frankfurt, however, his faith was apparently so important that he took it with him to his grave. The extent to which he was able to practice and profess his faith, or whether the contents of the amulet remained his secret, remains to be seen. It's also in there, and there's the amulet right there, rolled, unrolled. You can see all the folds and the crevices now. It's also clear that whoever created the amulet took great care to make it solely Christian. The inscription, which is written in Latin and only references Christianity, is unusual for the time. Similar scrolls from the time typically contained appeals to religious figures across several faiths, not just one, and were written in Hebrew or Greek. As the oldest evidence of Christianity north of the Alps, this scroll is rewriting what historians know about the spread of the religion throughout Europe. And the final quote for you: "The Frankfurt inscription is a scientific sensation," said Frankfurt Lord Mayor Mike Joseph. Thanks to it, the history of Christianity in Frankfurt and far beyond will have to be turned back by about 50 to 100 years. The first Christian find north of the Alps comes from our city. We can be proud of this, especially now so close to Christmas. The people involved have done a great job. And that is all there right on allthatisinteresting.com, written by Amber Morgan. So I thought that was pretty darn cool. You know? Always wanted to be a part of big finds like that, or at least be alive to hear about the big finds. So, have you ever found anything? How about this? A Christmas discovery. Especially when you're rummaging through the attic. Did you ever find a gift that you were supposed to give somebody 5 years prior? You never knew where it was? I remember, I know this has no significant comparison to the Silver Scroll over here, but I remember it was about, oh man, I think my parents got me, it was Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn. So I had World Series Baseball, like 1995. And I think they got me World Series Baseball 2 or 96, whatever the hell, 97. Who knows? Either way, I was playing the hell out of this one. And then the next year, I thought I was going to get the second one. I asked for it. And my parents insisted that they had got it for me. But they don't know where the hell to find it. About 10 years later, we found this Sega Saturn baseball game in a weird part of the garage, had fallen behind some stuff, and I kept it just for shits and giggles, even though I never was able to play it. I had long since given up my Sega Saturn. But I wonder about that. I mean, we've talked about things like that in the past. Have you ever been able to, stumble upon something in an old house, a house that you grew up in, a house that you bought? But do you have any Christmas discoveries? Christmas discoveries would be great. I'll open up the line on that, 914-200-0269. And we'll do that in a little bit too. We'll start taking it in. Now, as far as ghost stories go, because you talk about the past and everything else, I wanted to bring this up here. And we'll see what you guys have to add to this as well. So the first one is Christmas discoveries. If you've made any out there, then please bring it to our attention, because these can be really, really special. And we've had plenty of these stories come from you over the years. But as far as the scary ghost stories, this is what I got into. I went looking for the background for the scary ghost stories as it was sung in The Most Wonderful Time of the Year. And the answer I got from Grok is the reference to scary ghost stories in the song It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year by Andy Williams is an interesting nod to a tradition that isn't as commonly associated with modern Christmas celebrations, but has roots in Victorian England and earlier folklore traditions. And here's a bit of background. Victorian era. During the Victorian period in Britain, telling ghost stories at Christmas was quite popular. This tradition can be traced back to Charles Dickens' famous novella, A Christmas Carol, published in 1843. Dickens himself wrote several Christmas ghost stories, contributing to the association of ghost stories with the holiday season. His work exemplified how storytelling could be used for moral reflection and personal transformation, themes central to the Christmas spirit. Now, in pre-Christian traditions before, winter was a time when storytelling was a common way to pass long nights. In many cultures, the winter solstice was a time for tales of the supernatural, and people gathered around fires, which itself could be seen as a way to ward off the darkness and the cold of winter, and also evil spirits. These tales often serve to educate, entertain, and sometimes to explain natural phenomena or moral lessons. Now, as far as where we get them, I wanted a couple of examples, and I dug a couple up myself with very concise plot summaries. You all know A Christmas Carol, 1843. Ebenezer Scrooge, a miserly old man, is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and then three spirits, the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And it's one of those things where, man, oh man, it'll always be relevant because it is, it's one of those, it cuts right to the core of our human experience, and especially the need for second chances and feeling like it's too late for redemption and waking up from a bad dream and just feeling, I got to get on with it right now. I got to make amends. I always feel absolute relief for the Scrooge character. Maybe it's vicarious. Whenever he wakes up on Christmas morning, when he was, a couple of moments before, he was just staring down his grave. He was looking at his grave. He had seen all the people in his life picking through his things and talking badly about him and not really caring about him at all. And oh man, there's just so much there. And the big thing. Now I'm just talking about A Christmas Carol. His nephew. That's the part of the story that really hits me the most these days, because I never really picked up on it when I was younger. The gravity of the whole situation, how much he loved his sister, and she was dying, and he walked out on her in her delirium at the end of life, and he wasn't there to hear her ask, "Take care of my son." And he had treated the son like a castaway. It's something that you just dispose, like a nuisance for so long, and to realize that and to get some kind of a glimpse back and to see that he had not been holding up a a deathbed wish of his beloved sister. Oh man. I mean, that's just there's a lot there. But The Signal Man by Charles Dickens, that's 1866. A railway signalman tells a visitor about his encounters with a spectral figure beside the tracks, appearing before accidents. The ghost's warnings are initially unclear, but as the story unfolds, it becomes apparent that the signalman's own death is being foretold. The story explores themes of loneliness, fate, and the supernatural. The lines are open. Call in with your own Christmas ghost stories or anything else you want to add to the subject, and also Christmas discoveries. The Old Nurse's Story by Elizabeth Gaskell, 1852. An old nurse recounts a tale from her youth when she was employed to care for a young girl named Miss Rosamond in a remote manor house. She describes encountering the ghost of a young woman who was once wronged by the family, whose presence leads to a chilling revelation about the house's history and a rescue mission in the snow. I have not heard that one before. And of course, there's snow involved, so I guess maybe it takes place during December. Here's another one, The Tapestried Chamber by Walter Scott in 1828. Although slightly before the Victorian peak, its influence is notable. General Brown stays at an old castle where he is warned against sleeping in a particular room known as the Tapestried Chamber. Ignoring the advice, he experiences a terrifying encounter with the ghost of a woman in the room, leading him to leave in haste the next morning after sharing his experience. And you tell this at Christmas time? This last one is a little bit more, it's called The Mistletoe Bow, or The Mistletoe Bough. A traditional folktale, often retold in Victorian times. On her wedding night, a bride plays hide and seek and hides in an old oak chest with a secret lock. She becomes accidentally locked inside. What a dummy. and her body isn't discovered until years later when the chest is opened. This story, while more of a legend, was popular in Victorian England as a cautionary tale of love, loss, and the macabre during Christmas. What? I'm going to need to know a little bit more about that. Jeez. So these stories blend elements of the supernatural with the festive season, often focusing the themes of redemption and moral introspection and the consequences of one's actions, encapsulating the Victorian fascination with ghosts during Christmas time. Well, you know, and for me, and I have one story that I like, maybe we'll read through it together in the second half. Might take about 10 minutes or so, but why the hell not? I think that those kind of reflections and ghosts, it doesn't have to be scary. It really doesn't. And the more you live, the more everything gets very ghostly. And maybe we will hit on that in the second half a little bit more. Let's take a call. 832, you're on the air. What do you think?
Hi, Frank. This is Kathy.
Kathy, how are you?
I'm great. And you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Thank you so much. What do you got for us tonight?
Okay, I have I don't know if it's really a ghost story, but it's an experience that I had from the time I was probably about six or seven till I was probably in my mid-20s. I always had a dream that my real dad had sent this midget to kidnap me from my mom and my stepdad. And my stepdad would take this midget and put him across his lap and cut both of his feet off halfway. And then I would wake up. And I had this dream every night until I seen my real dad again, which I was, like I said, in my mid-20s.
Wait a second.
And both of his feet were cut off halfway.
Wait a second.
Had gotten frostbite.
Okay.
And I've never had a dream since.
So how old were you the night you first had this dream? About how old?
I was 6 or 7.
And you said you were having this dream regularly until you were in your mid-20s?
Yeah, every night.
Wait a second. Every night, it was literally every night you would go to bed and you would have this dream?
Every night, yes.
And it was a dream of your father. Tell the dream again, because now I really want to. Okay.
All right. My real dad.
Yeah.
Would send this midget to my house, to my mom's and my stepdad's house, and to kidnap me.
Kidnap by a midget.
To kidnap me. The midget was going to kidnap me. Yeah. And my stepdad took the midget and laid him across his lap like a little child and cut both of his feet halfway off.
Now, when you say halfway off, are you talking about halfway up the foot, like all the toes are off?
All the toes is off, yes, halfway up the foot.
Okay.
Half his foot was gone. And then when, because I had, my mom and my dad, my real dad had divorced, obviously. And I didn't see my real dad again until I was in my mid-20s. But when I seen my real dad, both of his feet were cut off, halfway cut off, just like the midget's was.
Just like
and I've never had a dream since.
The midget that he in the dreams sent to go and kidnap you.
Correct.
Now, we don't need to get too personal about what was going on in that gap between the time you were 6 and 26, but were you ever able to talk to him about the dream? And did you learn anything about that big gap of not being around him that would add a little bit more of an understanding to what the hell that all meant?
I did ask him because when I seen him, and obviously he walked funny because his feet being cut like that. He said that he had got frostbite and they had to amputate his feet.
But okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let me put it to you this way. In your dream, it's it's pretty, high intensity situation there. You have your father who actually commissioned a person to go and kidnap you. In the time that you were estranged from him, was there any kind of adversarial something going on between he and your mom? Like, what would inspire that kind of an aggressive dream where your father is really like almost like a mob boss?
Not as far as I can remember. I mean, there wasn't bitter enemies, after the divorce. They just went their separate ways as far as I can remember.
That's crazy.
There wasn't a lot of name calling or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know what would cause me to dream something like that and to have it every night for so long, except that he wasn't in my life. I don't know.
That is just such an incredible thing to happen to you every night for that many years. Nearly. And
since I've talked to obviously my real dad has passed since then, but from the time that I met him, after all that, I didn't see him until I was in my mid-20s. That's when I quit having the dream. After I met him and seeing that his feet was cut off, I never had the dream again. Now I'm almost 63 or 2.
Do you have any foot problems yourself?
No.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. And as far as the midget goes, will you ever make any heads or tails of that? The imagery of the midget?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's the odd man out in all this. So
yeah,
I don't know. But well, listen, thank you for the call. That was very interesting, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have Merry Christmas.
Merry
love
Christmas.
Your show.
Well, thank you. I love that call. We've had a lot of great calls this week. That's for sure. Well, you can call in with whatever you want, especially if we can keep it in the Christmas ghost stories or Christmas discoveries, whether it be something, family heirloom or something of national or, importance to your faith or anything like that. I'd love to hear about it. So all that is on the table. 7:49. We'll keep moving along, and yeah. So let's see here. I have another thread, and the lines will stay open while we go through this. From one Tom Rousel on Twitter. He says, ghostly viewing at Yuletide. Whenever 5 or 6 English-speaking people meet around a fire on Christmas Eve, they start telling each other ghost stories, wrote Jerome K. Jerome in 1891. This ancient oral tradition transitioned into pulp literature in Victorian England thanks to mainly Dickens' Christmas Carol, but today the tradition lives on in films and TV specials, and here are some recommendations. You let me know if you have any recommendations on this stuff that you wanted to add to it. Number 1, A Christmas Carol. There's a lot of, I think Rich Barris, when he called in last year, I think 2 years ago, we were talking about dangerous toys that are now banned that we remember when we were kids. I think that he really loved this Christmas Carol the best with George C. Scott. I think some of you out there voted for it as well. Since Dickens is responsible for rebooting the ancient custom, his story has to be top of the list. There are many film adaptations, but I rather like the 1984 version. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen quite a few. I've even seen the Patrick Stewart one. Maybe I'll watch that this year. Another well-known example of Christmas story with morbid themes and skeletons and ghosts, the beautifully animated children's musical by Tim Burton is certainly part of this tradition. The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think I saw that in the theater. 352, you're on the air. Who's this?
Oh, hold on. Hey, this is Chris. How you doing, Frank?
Hey, Chris. Great to have you on.
Hey, well, just my talking point is mainly just Christmas themed. Don't know exactly the point I want to make.
Well, say whatever you'd like.
Basically, when I was growing up, I, grew up in a split family. I grew up, my dad divorced my biological mom, and I was probably 6 years of age. Remarried. I think I was around 7 when he remarried. But on my dad's side of the family, they came from a lower income family, lower income family, you could say. And my stepmom's family was they would be considered wealthy in today's standards. But as well as I do, anyone that's ever dealt with split families, you deal with the separate holidays.
Especially at 6, at 6 or 7, it's right around there. I can see how that can get really, really, really tricky. And children are very defensive over they're protective over their parents, and they want them to be together. And there's a lot of resentment that pops up with some children when they start seeing, to say, well, you get double the amount of presents now is not a consolation for most kids. I mean, it helps pass the time a little bit, but they generally all want their family to be together. I know that firsthand. My parents' divorce came much later, but still. All right, so there you have this. Your family is being restructured. Okay, and he left. Oh wait, now he's back. Okay, so caller, so your family gets restructured around you're 6 years old. Go ahead.
Well, no, I guess the point that I was trying to, between having my old family and then my new family, we would have multiple Christmases, and pretty much take up an entire weekend. But like on my dad's side of the family, like I said, just your regular Joes, worked at Walmart or whatnot, in a small town in Kentucky. On my dad's side, it was just the Christmases there were just magical, but magical in the sense, well, I'm doing a real disservice right now.
Well, okay. Wait
1 sec. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to interrupt you, Frank. My ex-step-grandparents' side. Okay. You'd go over to their house and the presents would be, which they were multimillionaires. The presents would be piled up 3 feet high easily, it would be all about the gift giving. But on my dad's side, they'd read passages from the Bible, just talk about Christ. That was a very important part.
Okay.
That was they were the ones who taught the
what's the big takeaway aside from being able to experience after the divorce, being able to experience Christmas at different levels, at different economic socioeconomic levels and all that stuff, besides getting that new perspective on how different people are able to enjoy the holidays, what's your big takeaway? Go ahead.
Well, I had one side by marriage, which all focused on the materialistic, because they were more upper class.
What did you prefer the most?
Wealthy.
I mean, I know that this is kind of a loaded question, because for a 6 or 7 year old, I think most of them would say, I like to go where the presents are better. But when you look back now, what did you appreciate the most? Do you appreciate one side more than the other, or did you like how they both balance each other out, or what?
I appreciated what some people might consider lower effort, but I consider more genuine. The making sure that religion's a part of the whole experience.
Okay, well then, okay.
Back then, I'm 38 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think you'd get a couple of years on me, but.
Caller,
I grew up in the 90s, and I never had any expectations of gifts from.
Then it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you got that perspective. Now you can take that away, and I really appreciate your call on that. That'll fit into the format somehow, but yeah, don't be afraid of calling in and giving us your biggest takeaways from it all. As far as Christmas discoveries and ghost stories, please, I know somebody out there has something to contribute, so let's get back to this thread. All right, here we go. Tom Rousel says the BBC ran a series of short films called A Ghost Story from Christmas between 1971 and 78, which has been revived since 2005. My favorite episode, adapted from an M.R. James book, is about an amateur archaeologist who makes the mistake of digging up an Anglo-Saxon what? A king's grave. Well, geez Louise. I wouldn't be grave robbing on Christmas. Okay, let's go to a call. Is this Joseph?
Yes, this is Joseph.
Joseph, it's been a while. How you been?
Pretty good.
Good. So what's on your mind tonight? Give me something good.
Hey, I've got a little, somewhat of a ghost story, but anyway, it was in 2016. My mom had just passed away that fall, and it was on a Christmas Eve, and I was out shoveling snow in our driveway, and I was just about to finish up, and I happened to look over the top of the house into the backyard, and there in the trees was a bald eagle. Now, we don't get bald eagles in our area. I had never seen one, and I just had the feeling that it was a sign from my mom that said, "Hey, everything's okay." And I had never seen one since, so I take it as kind of a cool sign from Mom that she was out there looking over us.
Bald eagle. It's this morning, Joseph, that's a great story. I think a lot of people would take some extraordinarily timed thing, a visit like that, especially for something that you don't rarely ever see.
Right.
So that's something in itself. I think a lot of people would say, "Wow, what is behind this gift today?" And that's such a well-timed fashion too.
Yep, exactly. So we'll never forget that.
Now, what part of the country you from, Joseph?
Central Wisconsin.
Okay, and no bald eagles usually around your neck of the woods.
Not usually, no. In fact, there are some in some of the marshes and things, but we've never seen them in our immediate area, and that was the only time I've ever seen one, which was kind of made it even more special. If I had been seeing them afterwards or whatever, it might have not meant as much, but it never happened. So,
well, I appreciate that, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Thanks for the call.
You too. Merry Christmas to you and family. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Let's take another call here. 847, you're on the air. What do you got?
Hello, it's Captain Wiggles.
Hey, what's going on, Captain Wiggles?
Well, I have a little bit different than the format.
Okay.
I have a Christmas miracle for you.
Well, that's
I just
fine.
sent an email, and I'm like, I'll just call in. It's an update on Ben. We got good news.
What is it?
So we found out when we were in Boston that both of his vocal cords are paralyzed, and it would be like a miracle if either of them were to move. And he went for his latest scan, and we had a little bit of movement in one of them. It was pretty awesome.
That's incredible. And is he making any noise?
He is. Yeah, he's a talker. It affected his airway. So if he didn't have any movement, he'd have to have a trach.
Okay.
So it was pretty intense. And then our other Christmas miracle is that you're getting another Frankly listener.
What?
As we are pregnant.
Oh, congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, yeah, that's our Christmas miracle. Just spice it up a little bit for you.
So how long have you known? For like 4 months?
No, just a little bit, actually. We just had our first ultrasound today. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So,
we're so excited.
And I'm sure Ben is going to really be excited for having a new sibling.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Definitely.
Well, it's a big year for your family. A lot of ups and downs and roller coaster rides, and I'm glad that you're ending the year on this note. I really am.
Yes, and thank you guys for all the support. It was just meant so much to us. So I was like, it's been a while since I given an update. I'm like, I got to get to it.
Yeah, everybody. I'm sure everybody remembers you, Captain Wiggles over here. We were talking about her young son Ben, had to go to Boston for all those tests. It was what was it for his heart?
His heart. Yeah,
yes.
He had his second major heart surgery out there. He's been through so much. It was his 8th procedure, second major heart surgery. So he's only 2. It's been a lot. And then we got the bad news that his vocal cords weren't working. So it was just one thing after another. But God is good, and we had our Christmas miracle.
I'm so happy to hear that. That's that definitely qualifies. I'm adding that into the. It's a supernatural thing. I'm adding it in tonight.
Right, it is.
So
thank you.
Thank you, my
And
friend.
you guys have a Merry Christmas.
You too, to the whole family,
Thank you.
the whole growing family over there. Love it. I love it. Let's take another call. 734. We got Christmas discoveries. We got Christmas ghost stories. What do you got for us?
Hi, I just have a missed Christmas present that my mom left in the closet.
Hold on,
so I didn't
caller.
get it
Hold
at
on,
Christmas time.
hold on, caller. I can hear myself in the background. You got to cut that stream.
All right.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, so my mom forgot to give me one of my Christmas presents back in the 1970s. We always had such a really good Christmas. My dad always made sure that we had plenty under the tree because we weren't really spoiled like during the year, but he always wanted Christmas to be special. Well, it was extra special because my mom left my ballerina Barbie in the closet and I got to open it on New Year's Eve. And ever since then, it always stayed with me, and it's like a memory from when I was younger. So I just think it's a good idea to maybe do that for the kids, and then that way it makes their Christmas extra special.
Oh, so ever since then, somebody will sandbag on one present, and you'll open another present on New Year's Eve?
No, I'm just saying it would be something nice to do for the kids to make it a little bit more exciting for them. Oh, another Christmas present? I thought Christmas was over.
Yeah, you know what? It is a good one. That is good.
But that's just my silly story. It was a ballerina Barbie.
See, you know where I thought I was going to go? It's not that. It's one. Obviously, if you miss Christmas, you miss Christmas. It doesn't matter if it's one day or 1 year. But I thought you were going to say back in 1977, my mother was going to give me this present. She lost it and didn't find it until 1983. I thought.
No, that would have been a better story. Maybe I should have just lied about it.
No, it doesn't matter because again, look what came of it. You came up with a really good idea for what could be and what probably is some sort of a tradition in somebody's home. I bet.
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
All right.
Yep.
Well, thanks for the call.
All right, take care.
Take care. Be well.
Bye.
All right. Let's go over to Jules. It's been a long time since I heard from this lady. How are you, Jules?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. I'm getting by just fine.
Okay. Well, I have a Christmas story that is a get in trouble Christmas story.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
It was just my brother and I. He was 3 years older than me, and he opened up a closet in the house, and it was just packed with presents. And I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. This is great. He figured out how to open up every single present and then tape it back without alerting my parents. But stupid, the younger sister, I had no clue that I was supposed to keep things, like on the down low. And sure enough, something came out of my mouth. And of course, my brother was just like, oh my goodness, why did I do this with her? She always gets me in trouble. My dad was furious. I thought his head was going to explode. And so the following Christmas, they locked all our presents in the trunk of my mom's Cadillac.
Good for them. Good for them because you can't be trusted. Who is it?
I couldn't, and I had loose lips of just. I knew what we were doing was wrong. I knew, but I don't care. I was maybe 7, 8 years old. He was 10.
I think we had somebody call in last year talking about a story about how they broke into their neighbor's house and opened up all of their presents before Christmas. And I forget who that was. I think it was like a caller from Alabama or something like that. And and I think about all of these similar stories. I guess the younger you are, maybe it seems like it's worth it, but it just is. There's so much effort that has to go into carefully unwrapping a present so that nobody knows that you peeked inside, just to know what you're going to get. It's just it's so much effort just to ruin a surprise because you're going to get the same thing one way or another. You might as well just have fun the day of.
Yes, and might as well wait for it. Yeah, because as a kid, I would tear through all my presents. Rip the paper off. Rip the bow off, open it up as fast as I could, and then move on to the next package that had my name on it. And my brother would sit there with a pair of scissors and just cut, he was always the last one opening Christmas presents. Always the last one, because he was just like methodical in that manner, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
he grew out of it.
Thankfully, your parents had a firewall against all your shenanigans the next year, and that's how
they did.
That's how that cookie crumbled. Well, thank you for the call, Jules.
Yes,
that was wonderful.
Yes. All right. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
All right, Merry Christmas. There you go. Let's take a quick break. It's 8:07. When we come back, we got a little bit more. I've got your super chats here at quitefranklysuperchat.com, especially if you're watching on YouTube. The way to support the show is, of course, liking and sharing. But send a super chat to quitefranklysuperchat.com. And then there's Rumble Rants. We're going to read all those on the other end, take your calls. And I also found the touching and the alien touched me. I found it. The caller last night, Terry, I believe. I found it last night of the alien that touched my face or something like that. We'll do that and take more of your calls on these main subjects in the second half. Don't go anywhere.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With Frank.
Okay. Good. Things are coming together. I have a couple of super chats. First one is from X Irrational. It says 8 Crazy Nights is a Christmas story with ghosts in it as well. Also probably my favorite Christmas movie. Never seen it. Is that the animated Adam Sandler film? I think is that it? Stowstube, thank you for the tip, my friend. And Jay Britt says, happy last Wednesday before Christmas. Indeed. Happy last Wednesday, my friends. It's a week from today. A week from today, it all boils down to this, where we're counting in hundreds of days. We're counting in the hundreds of days, and then the dozens, the tens. And now here we are, it's going to be hours soon. So I hope that you're all having a good time with that. Welcome to the show. All right, here is from Captain Wiggles. Says, Merry Christmas, early Christmas to you and your family. Thank you so much for being the lone Rumble ranter out there, Captain Wiggles. All the best to you and your family, and congratulations again on the newcomer. Okay, let's see. On quitefrankly.tv, we got some calls coming in right now. C. Blanche says, Salute. How are you? Sean Joe Scott 17 says, much love, Frank. Thank you, Scott. Porpoiseful and Chai Possum. You guys are great. Another one from Chai Possum just came in, got a cookie to the face. While we percolate, we let those calls percolate a little bit. I've got this for you. Nice little addendum to last night. Here we go. Now, this is what the alien thing was based on. I was wondering to myself, what the hell? When did we ever do a story about, have you ever touched an alien? I said, I never did a story on that. I had never had a call-in topic on that I thought of. And then I remembered the Goldie Hawn thing. We read about Goldie Hawn recounts an alien encounter. Oh my God, I think I made contact with outer space, she said. From the LA Times. She says she had a close encounter of her own. It was the mid-1960s, and Hawn, then 20 years old, was working as a dancer in Anaheim. That was a time when, there was a lot of UFO sightings. I remember this so clearly. I went outside my door, I sat on a little ledge, and I looked up at the dark sky, and I saw these little stars. And all I can think of was, how far does this go? How little are we? Are we the only planet in the whole wild universe that has life on it? It was as Hawn was staring into the great unknown, she said that she knew she was fated for an alien encounter. I said, I know you're out there. I know we're not alone, and I would like to meet you one day. Months later, Goldie Hawn was working another dance job, this time in West Covina. After a tiring rehearsal, she asked a friend if she could take a load off in his car, hopefully get a nap in. After getting into the car to sleep, Han said I got this high-pitched sound in my ears. It was high frequency. I saw these 2 or 3 triangular shaped heads. They were silver in color, slash for a mouth, tiny little nose, no ears. They were pointing at me in the car as if they were discussing me like I was a subject, and they were droning. Let's see here. I was paralyzed and I thought, oh my God, I want to get up. I didn't know if it was real or not. Eventually, the young dancer was able to shake free. It was just like bursting out of a force field. Of course, I go back to all the kids and stuff, and I went, oh my God, I think I just made contact with outer space. Years later, Han spoke with an astrophysicist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and he told her he'd been researching alien encounters for 25 years. They touched my face. It felt like a finger of God. It was the most benevolent, loving feeling. This was powerful. It was filled with light. So, Kurt Russell apparently had the same kind of a thing. Phoenix. He was going into Phoenix, and we said Sky Harbor International. There's these blank bank of lights, 6 lights in the shape of a triangle going back over the airport. Hey, anyway, that is another thing I wanted somebody to call in with. If anybody out there actually was a first-hand account, an eyewitness to the Phoenix lights, because I want a little bit more insight on this after all these years later, now that we have drone technology that is just commonplace, it's consumer grade, there's drone racing, we can see how the Chinese and everybody else can coordinate and choreograph 10,000 drones to make moving images in the sky better than we ever had with smoke and laser light shows. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So I want any kind of remembrances from 30 some odd years ago in the 90s with the Phoenix lights. Do you remember just lights? Or do you remember lights that actually form the perimeter of a massive object? Perhaps it was just a massive black object. You can just see a silhouette, something like a floating mountain, whatever the hell it is. But do you remember perceiving of a massive object? Or was it just coordinated lights? Because the first thing I thought of when I see any of these things floating around in the air is just, if you plug this very mundane technology into any part of the last 40, 50 years, you can make people go nuts. And you can cause quite a sensation. All right, let's take a call. I'll get back to the other thing a little bit. 801, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, Frank. This is Julie.
Hey, Julie. How you doing?
Doing good. I have the loveliest ghost story, and it's real. It happened in my own family, and it was relayed to me by my grandfather, whom it happened to.
This is a Christmas ghost story?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so my grandfather was a young man married and to my grandmother, and they had 2 small children, and they were expecting their 3rd child. And there was a very, very tragic car accident in which they were hit by a drunk driver, and my grandmother was killed. And it was just crushing. My grandfather just couldn't recover. It was just a terrible, thing to have to go through, to lose your wife and your unborn child. And in the long run, he ended up leaving. He had his sisters take my father and his little sister, so his 2 younger children, they just kind of farmed him out to the relatives, and he left. And he went on a mission for the church, our church, and went abroad to Holland. And he was there during Christmas, and he was asked to give a Christmas message to a group of members there. And as he was doing so, he felt my grandmother's presence so strongly next to him. He said, I could just feel she was right there. I could just touch her. And after the whole thing was over with, the program was over, 2 little old ladies came up to him, and their faces were just white. And they said, we just wanted to tell you there was someone standing next to you the whole time you were speaking.
Whoa.
And he said, wait a minute, can you stay right here? And they said, sure. So he ran up to his apartment, which was up above the church where they had the program. He brought down 3 pictures, one of his mother, one of his sister, and one of his recently deceased wife, which was my grandmother. And he laid them out on a table and said, you know, were any of these women the person you saw? And both of them went right to the picture of my grandmother and said, her. She was standing right next to you the entire time.
I mean, what's there to say?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was just a confirmation that she was right there, and it was, you know, the spirit world isn't far away. She was there.
Now, obviously, this is something he came home and brought this story with him. Did you ever remember talking to him directly about this?
Oh yeah, he told me the whole story, and we actually wrote it down in our family history. That story is relayed. There were a couple of different things.
What does he
like
remember?
That happened.
What did he remember about the 2 ladies, the attendees at this event that he was at?
Yeah, they were elderly ladies, both of them, and he said they had really a strength. You know, they were both sort of shaken by it when they came to speak to him after it was over. They both were a little bit shaken up, and they could tell that whoever was standing next to him was not, you know, they were in spirit form, obviously, and that they had basically seen a ghost or a spirit, you know, and they were absolutely both completely definitive about which picture was that woman that was standing next to him. So it was. I think that's a sweet story.
It's a very sweet story. I wish there was a way to know about these 2 old ladies, because the fact that they had a joint, they bared witness to it, both of them. It wasn't like one saw it and the other one didn't. Both of them saw it. I wish I knew if they had some kind of, are they clairvoyant? Do they have some kind of, you know, gift? Or is this just something that happened to both of them and they were the ones chosen to see? Or was there anybody else in the room doing double takes and seeing the same
it was
thing?
a whole group, but I'll tell you what I've noticed is I've gotten older. I'm 62 now, and as I've gotten older, I've become more psychic and more clairvoyant, and that's kind of supposed to be a thing. As you get older, your spiritual gifts, you know, kind of come into play, and you get, you know, kind of tuned up to what you potentially can do or what your spiritual gifts are. And I don't know if anybody else saw the same thing and they just didn't, you know, come up and approach my grandfather. But yeah, he was so touched because he himself could feel her too, you know, so he felt her the whole time he was speaking. And then to have those 2 women come up and just validate that she was there and they saw her, it was really special to him.
See, that is just insane. And I have to imagine that when he comes back from that trip, obviously you're still grieving a loss. You're always going to feel that hole. But that must have done something for bringing him back around and picking his spirits up. They had to have done something that was rehabilitative for him.
Yeah, I'm sure it gave him some comfort.
Yeah,
and
just
some peace, you know.
Some comfort, some relief. That's an incredible story. I can't thank you enough. And that all happened around Christmas time, you say, or this is a story that he tells on Christmas.
It was a Christmas program, you know, that they had asked him to speak at that Christmas program. So, yeah, it's just a special little story that my family has handed down, and I think that, like I said, I don't think our loved ones are too far from us, and I think that we, you know, can have an opportunity to feel them if we are open to it and if we're, you know, kind of on the same frequency, really.
I agree with you. I thank you so much for the call. This was like right in the pocket.
Thanks, Frank.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Take care.
You too.
Okay, let's go. 209. 209, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank. Can you hear me?
I can. Are you on speakerphone?
I just took you off.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I'm calling in regards to the Phoenix Lights.
Okay. Finally. So you were
yes.
a witness? You bear witness to it?
Well, it's a side story. I didn't exactly see the Phoenix Lights, but I called you, or I might have written you an email. I live in Redding, California, and I saw the same formation fly over my house. That triangular pattern in a translucent orb.
So that's what the Phoenix Lights were? They were a triangular pattern?
Well, so I didn't know what it was. I am a member of the Blurry Creatures community, and I went to their BlurryCon, and about 2 weeks before I went, that thing flew over my house, and it was a translucent light pattern. Oops, sorry, my alarm's going off. It was a translucent light pattern, about 5 to 7 of them, triangular, and it went over my house very slowly, methodically, and I could see through it. My mom was with me. Put instant goosebumps on my entire body. I didn't know what I saw. So I got into the Blurry Creatures Facebook group message, and I just kind of described it. And someone told me to look up like ancient aliens, and I can't exactly remember the season and the episode, but sure enough, I went to go look at it, exactly what I saw, and it was the Phoenix Lights pattern. And I saw the same thing over Redding, California about 2 years ago.
You see, when I remember the Phoenix Lights, I think it was sometime around 1996 or 7 or 8, around there.
Yeah.
When I remember that getting around, I just remember it being like maybe 7 or 8 lights that looked like they had a curve. It didn't look like a complete circle, but from the angle that we always saw it, up on some kind of, overhang looking down at the city of Phoenix or whatever the hell it was, it looked like just a curving shield, like a semicircle of lights. I don't know what the shape of the object could have been if it was a solid object. That's the real question I want to know. So when this thing flew over you, you said that you saw 3 lights in a triangle, but it was also translucent?
Yeah, so it was 5 to 7 lights. They looked like the creepiest translucent, like I could see right through it, but I could also tell that it was like something, Okay. And it flew over me, dead silent.
Okay. Because that's what I'm trying to ascertain here. Because if you say they flew over me, first of all, if it's silent, then we know that maybe there are silent drones out there. But the fact that are the lights independent of each other and just flying in formation, or are they part of some sort of a structure? And that because right now I think that we would be able to. Somebody might be able to recreate the Phoenix Lights with drones, and it would look exactly.
Well, that's what. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Well, that's what was weird about it, because now that all this drone talk is going on, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I see something that was, a drone that was cloaking itself? Or, when I saw the Phoenix Lights, because I didn't know about it until I posted in the Blurry Creatures community, and one of the members, kind of said, look at this season, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember. And as soon as I saw it, it gave me the same feeling. 15 minutes of goosebumps on my body. I said, that is exactly what went over my house. It was a triangular pattern. See right through it. Okay. Dead silent. My mom was with me.
Okay, so my producer, Krista, just got in touch with me. She's the editor-in-chief of the newsletter. The Phoenix Lights, she said, was a gigantic football field size black triangular craft, no sound. And she said there's a really good documentary on it. I just asked her what the name of the documentary was, and that's what I just wanted to be able to double back on. Was there mass to it? Because what we're seeing right now with all of these shiny, very I don't know. I would say conspicuous lights. I mean, everything that's going on in the sky right now is calling attention to it in one way or another. But they also have the sound that you did not witness, and all the other stuff. None of the grace of all the things that have been witnessed over the years in the sky.
Yeah. No, this. It didn't have anything blinking on it at all. It was completely translucent. but you could tell that it was something. Like, it was like almost like cloaking. It was like it was so creepy. It gave me goosebumps. I mean, like, I can't even tell you how it made me feel.
Okay. Well, then you're gonna have to, call in sometime and give us some more information. And also, I'd love to get the guys from the Blurry Creatures on the show. We got to link up in 2025. I got to finally link up with them. We have so many mutual friends at this point. It's ridiculous.
Oh, they're the best. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you for the call. This is wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Take care. Yeah, it's let's see here, 20th anniversary of the Phoenix Lights. It's called the Phoenix Lights documentary. Steve Lance, Lynn Cattell or Cattay, and MD Production. We are not alone. I'm gonna have to watch this. We'll have to put it on the. We're gonna have to watch this together. We'll have to do that. Okay, let's go and jump into the super chats again. NX17 says, Merry Christmas to you and your dear ones. Thank you. Same to you, my friend. Same to you. Rob on the super chats, quite frankly, superchat.com says, another great year. It's my tradition to send a little tip. I can't always watch live, and I never miss a show. I'm the one who saw the bullseye over me in the sky on Mothman show, which was an awesome one. Merry Christmas and thank you, Frank. Rob in Texas. Well, the bullseye over you in the sky. Yeah, I remember that. 2025, we gotta squeeze every last incredible experience that we can out of all the newcomers in the audience. Everybody, we got to get stuff on the things that you have done, seen that you can't explain. There are pieces to the mysteries of the universe buried in everybody. Well, not everybody. Some people don't have any stories to tell. I'll just to be honest with you. Some people have no stories to tell. But I definitely need to. We're gonna really step it up a little bit more in the second half of this. In the new year. All right, let's take one more call and then another really quick break, and then I want to read you something. Okay, let's see. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Is this me?
Yes. Who's this?
This would be Evie.
This is Evie?
Yes.
What?
It's me.
Oh.
What I saw in 1983 was a black helicopter that was soundless. Dropped down in front of me about 20 feet from me. And this was military, and they had their black uniforms on with rifles hanging out. And I was sitting with a friend of mine. I had just purchased a piece of property out in the woods. And I was in my birthday suit. So I didn't get up and run. And besides that, they had rifles. I sat there and this helicopter, you think a helicopter makes noise, right?
Yeah.
Not a sound. The blades were going. There were about 4 men in it. And then in about 30 seconds, they lifted off and were gone.
So this is your property, right?
It was where I bought property, yes.
Okay.
Right, where we were watching the stream go by.
Okay, so you were
sunset.
So you were what were you skinny dipping? You were naked?
Well, I could have been in the water and back out again.
And
we were sitting on the riverbank and enjoying the sunset as it was going down.
Yeah, that sounds like a really great day. But the sun was.
It was, except for that, it was rather spooky.
But let me ask.
This was in 1983.
And how old were you at the time?
An adult woman.
Okay. And the sun was going down. You were by the riverbank. When the helicopter showed up, was the sun already set, or did you still have daylight outside?
Oh, it was daylight.
Oh.
There was not a white marking on any of them or the machine. They were black.
It was all black. And did stress play a part in the situation? Because if I saw some kind of an aircraft like that, even if it's one that I recognize, show up on my property, there's going to be a considerable amount of adrenaline there, but not enough adrenaline to forget the sound of a helicopter. So you really say that this did not make a sound?
Oh, it was absolutely soundless.
In 1983?
I'll never forget it.
And it was using regular propellers?
Well, it wasn't a huge machine, but it had about 4 men, and they had their side doors open and one leg hanging out with a black rifle hanging out, so I could see it. And to me, it was like a warning. I felt a warning that they know I'm here, and they wanted me to know I was being watched.
Wow. Well, now, okay, so then the last question I would ask is, what reason do you think they would have for wanting you to know that you were being watched? Did you live in any place that was close to a sensitive location? Did you know somebody? Yeah. Oh, okay. So you lived near what? A military base?
No, I lived near a family of, I would call them bad guys. They were related to the family of a movie called The Falcon and the Snowman. And it was their life that the Falcon and the Snowman depicted. And they were renting almost a dirt floored cabin about a mile from me, right on the river.
And you think that it was all they? Okay, hold on. Let's see here. The plot: Christopher Boyd, an expert in falconry and son of a former FBI special agent, he gets a job as a civilian defense contractor working on a so-called Black Vault, a secure communication facility through which flows information on some of the most classified operations in the world. Okay, so you had some kind of like. You had some intelligence operations showing up next to you, and they just wanted to let you know, hey, we're your next door neighbors. Don't try anything, or what?
No, I think they were just saying that, well, the feeling I got was that they knew that this man that I allowed in my life was friends of the Falcon and the Snowman kind, and that they just wanted, that's it. I just interpreted it. Nobody said a word to me about any of it.
Understood. So the friend you were the person you were enjoying the afternoon with was a fella that was known to these guys.
Apparently so.
Okay. Well, wow. That's one hell. Jeez. That's one hell of a story right there. And that was the only run-in with this particular group. You never had an experience like that again?
With the black helicopter, no.
Okay. Well, thank God for that. What about men in black suits? The men in black?
No, I never. Ever since I learned about them, I have wondered.
Okay.
But these guys had no dress coats on. They were military with military helmets.
Well, I hope you call in again sometime, because this is not the last time that we're going to be talking about strangeness out there in the wilderness, and you definitely got my attention, ma'am.
Oh, well, I've been watching you and finding more and more interest in everything you do.
Well, thank you. And anytime you want to reach out, either call or email, and I'd love to hear from you. What's your name? First name, a pen name, anything?
Evie.
Evie, that's right.
Evie Star. You know me as Evie Star on your channel.
Okay, Evie Star. You made.
I'm new. I don't know the internet, and I don't know how to operate these things, and all I have is an iPhone that I feel it's very compromised.
Yeah, probably. You know what? You seem to you seem to be in the know there. Since 1983, you've had a reason to distrust technology. So, very good on you, Evie, and thank you for the call tonight.
So good to talk to you, Frank.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Oh, I did not want to cut off Evie. Evie, I'm sorry. You're very sweet. I've never laid naked by a riverbed. Jeez. Then again, I never tried. And you miss all of the shots that you never take. You know? The 2025. We'll get it in 25. All right, we'll be right back. Real quick break, and then I want to read you something. We'll have some fun with this one.
Man comes from Minnesota. Jones launches end zone. Closest man is a Viking. It is picked up by Bynum.
Welcome to Perpetual Health Minute, brought to you by Quite Frankly. What you're looking at on your screen is a preprint, a 2024 preprint of a systematic review and meta-analysis looking at saturated fat and cardiovascular disease, two of my favorite topics. I want to read you from the abstract. The recommendation to limit dietary saturated fat intake is primarily drawn from observational studies rather than randomized controlled trials of cardiovascular disease. So this systematic review took a look at 9 randomized controlled trials with over 13,000 patients, and this is what they found in the conclusion. The evidence available from randomized controlled trials does not support saturated fat restriction for the prevention of cardiovascular disease. I don't know how many times we can do this, but we're going to keep doing it until the message comes across. If you like this video, please follow the new Perpetual Health Rumble channel. You can also find us at perpetualhealth.substack.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Back to the show.
He's been down in the basement since it happened. 5 days now. I think he's having some kind of a mental situation. You know, an episode or something.
All right. I see it past the touchy on the left.
Hey, you better do something. 'Cause I don't want to be known as the brother-in-law of the town nutjob. I got enough problems already. Oh, shit. I got water all over myself.
Okay. Well, that wasn't very smooth. I saw some chat room. Let me see. Some people are... This is about being naked by a riverbed. You're missing out. It says burpees outbreak. Let's see here. You gotta try, says Bob. Let's see here. Oh, Frank, it's the best, says R. Pierce. Frank, you sunbathed your taint. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Those are AI-generated pictures of me. Trust me. If I sunbathed my taint, I'd tell you. Guys, I tried it, and it was magic. Frank doesn't know what real life is. Get out here, says Michael. Okay. Me and Michael sunbathing by a riverbed. This June. Tune in at 7 o'clock. It's Michael and Frank. Feel the grass. Let's see here. What about a dry riverbed? Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. Aguita living, it says, oh my God, has Frank lived this long without being naked next to water? I don't know. I mean, it's just a never been to a nude beach, none of that stuff. But, you know, I think when it comes to ponds and when it comes to rivers, I can take sand under my feet. I can't stand mud and not knowing what I just don't like that. And then also, I feel like I'm going to get out of the water and there's going to be leeches all over me. Okay? Just seen too many movies. So, I don't know, whatever. I guess the ocean and swimming pools is going to be enough for now. Although, I've jumped into and swam in Candlewood Lake in Danbury, Connecticut. We went up to Candlewood Lake quite a bit. That's not a problem because I know that I'm not going to be standing in mud. So, anywho, there you have it. I have something for you now. Talk about ghost stories. There's a ghost story I know of that I used to discuss a little bit with my friend Pam, my late friend Pam. And it's called Christmas Meeting by Rosemary Timperley. And she told me about it because she said, Frank, this is one of those classic Christmas stories because it takes in, it's not only like a ghostly kind of thing here, and you'll see why, but it also has this theme of older woman, younger man, and not even in a romantic kind of a way. And I thought it would be nice to kind of put it out there tonight because it has a lot of different things that we've been talking about as an audience for a while, and it's about 8:45, and it'll take about 10 minutes to read. And I'm going to just put it out there for you. You ready for this? It's a short story. Christmas Meeting by Rosemary Timperley. And you're just going to have to just listen to my voice and enjoy. I have never spent Christmas alone before. It gives me an uncanny feeling sitting alone in my furnished room with my head full of ghosts and the room full of voices of the past. It's a drowning feeling, all the Christmases of the past coming back in a mad jumble. The childish Christmas with a house full of relations, a tree in the window, sixpences in the pudding, and the delicious crinkly stocking in the dark morning. The adolescent Christmas with mother and father, the war and the bitter cold, and the letters from abroad. The first really grown-up Christmas with a lover, the snow and the enchantment, red wine and kisses, and the walk in the dark before midnight, with the ground so white and the stars diamond bright in a black sky. So many Christmases through the years. And now the first Christmas alone. But not quite loneliness, a feeling of companionship with all other people who are spending Christmas alone, millions of them, past and present. A feeling that if I close my eyes, there will be no past or future, only an endless present, which is time, because it is all we ever have. Yes, however cynical you are, however irreligious, it makes you feel queer to be alone at Christmas time. So I'm absurdly relieved when the young man walks in. There's nothing romantic about it. I'm a woman of nearly 50, a spinster schoolma'am with grim dark hair and myopic eyes that once were beautiful, and he's a kid of 20, rather unconventionally dressed with a flowing wine-colored tie and black velvet jacket and brown curls which could do with a taste of the barber's scissors. The effeminacy of his dress is bellied by his features, narrow piercing blue eyes, and arrogant jutting nose and chin. Not that he's looking strong. The skin is fine drawn over the prominent features, and he is very white. He bursts in without knocking and then pauses and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was my room." And he begins to go out, hesitates, and then says, "Are you alone?" "Yes," I said. "It's queer being alone at Christmas, isn't it? May I stay and talk?" he asked. "I'd be glad if you would," I responded. He comes right in and sits down by the fire. "I hope you don't think I came in here on purpose. I really did think it was my room," he explained. "I'm glad you made the mistake, but you're a very young person to be alone at Christmas time." "Oh, well, I wouldn't go back to the country to my family. It would hold up my work. I'm a writer." "Oh, I see." I can't help smiling a little. That explains his rather unusual dress. And he takes himself so seriously, this young man. "Of course you mustn't waste a precious moment of writing," I say with a twinkle. No, not a moment. That's what my family won't see. They don't appreciate the urgency. Families are never appreciative of the artistic nature. No, they aren't," he agreed seriously. "What are you writing?" I asked. "Poetry and a diary combined. It's called My Poems and I by Francis Randell. That's my name. My family says there's no point in my writing, that I'm too young, but I don't feel young. Sometimes I feel like an old man, with too much to do before he dies." Ah, I said, revolving faster and faster on the wheel of creativeness. Yes, exactly. You understand. You must read my work sometime. Please read my work. Read my work. A note of desperation in his voice, a look of fear in his eyes, makes me say, we're both getting much too solemn for Christmas Day. I'm going to make you some coffee, and I have plum cake. So I move about, clattering cups, spooning coffee into my percolator. But I must have offended him, for when I look around, I found that he has left me. I am absurdly disappointed. I finish making the coffee, however, then turn to the bookshelf in the room. It's piled high with volumes for which the landlady has apologized profusely. Hope you don't mind the books, miss, but my husband won't part with them, and there's nowhere to put them. We charge a bit less for the room for that reason. I don't mind, I had said. Books are good friends. But these aren't very friendly-looking books. I take one at random, or does some strange fate guide my hand? Sipping my coffee, inhaling my cigarette smoke, I begin to read the battered little book published, I see, in spring of 1852. It's mainly poetry, immature stuff, but vivid, and there's a kind of diary, more realistic, less affected. Out of curiosity to see if there's any amusing comparisons, I turn to the entry for Christmas Day of 1851, and I read, "My first Christmas alone. I had rather an odd experience. When I went back to my lodgings after a walk, there was a middle-aged woman in my room. I thought at first I'd walked into the wrong room, but this was not so, and after a pleasant talk, she disappeared. I suppose she was a ghost, but I wasn't frightened. I liked her. But I do not feel well tonight, not at all well. I've never felt ill at Christmas before." A publisher's note followed the last entry. Francis Randall died from a sudden heart attack on the night of Christmas Day, 1851. The woman mentioned in his final entry in his diary was the last person to see him alive. In spite of requests for her to come forward, she never did so. Her identity remains a mystery. And that's the end of that story. Now, you think about that. I mean, first of all, the story arouses so many more questions than there are answers. And for such a really short story, it makes you think that it's not scary. It's a little bit more melancholy. You have this story of sad, gentle, two spirits passing in the night. Who was alive? Are they both ghosts? And even in the beginning, the setup to the whole thing about the first Christmas alone and the way that we experience Christmas as kids and moving on through the years and stuff, I guess that's why it becomes a little bit more of a ghostly experience as we get older. And again, not a haunting experience, but just something that we always gain tons of new perspective on over the years. And yeah, I've thought about that for decades now, reflected on it, and use it as motivation to do more with people that I love. Probably why when plans don't work out as much as I like them to, it angers me and depresses me more than it should, because you just never know when it's going to be the last time, I should say. And eventually, if you live long enough, some of us at least are, all we're going to have in the end are ghosts, if you live long enough. But that's nice. That's good for us tonight. Good for us tonight. A little bit of Christmas ghost stories. Something to get you thinking. And again, for those of you who want to go and read that for yourself, that's Christmas Meeting by Rosemary Timperley. And I again, thank my good, late, great, beautiful friend Pam for talking to me about that years ago. I said, this will be a good night for it. Anyhow, thank you so much for being with me tonight. And here's how we're going to end. I have something a little bit more bittersweet for you. First, some news. Our friend Sean David Morton has died. He'd been sick for as long as we'd been friends and had been fighting like hell for the last 3 years or so, or however long it was. I was very honored to have known him. He was a legend in his own right. Phoenix Lights, that's one of those topics that I wish I could have him on call, have him on hand for that. I mean, you can compile marathons of his appearances on Coast to Coast and television and film and all of that. It'd probably take days to watch it all. Well published, controversial, most of all fun, because he really loved his work. And I just got the news today. But this is, of course, coupled with the news of our friend Captain Liberty's death from a week ago. And, well, I have something special for you all tonight. I did it. I did some estimating. I knew it had to be in 2020. It had to be in December. So I dug up my archives. I dug through my archives. I estimated the day, whatever. And I dug until I found something that will now be an immortal part of this show for all the Christmases to follow. And I had to play it tonight because it actually happened 4 years ago in this very evening on December 18th, 2020. So, with that, and thank you, Mama's Gnome, for just tipping us right now on the super chat, saying I'm wrapping gifts and listening to Frank. Thank you, everybody. Hold on, there's one more that just came in on Rumble. I want to make sure we have it all done. Size Brain says, accidentally hit the button. Merry Christmas. I need an old lady tutorial. I'm 43. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. But tonight, I want to leave you with this. We end thinking about our friends and the good times that we've had with people who, are not here. And again, another tradition created. So thank you so much for the company, and another tip of the hat to our good friends. See you tomorrow. Here's a call that we haven't had in a while, and it is Captain Liberty. Captain Liberty, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I have a quick news story. It's about a 3-minute read, if you'll indulge me. It's about a home invasion. This particular news story was actually first published in a Troy, New York newspaper. And I'm sure you all might be relatively familiar with it. If not, let me read it for you rather quickly. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of a new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. But what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and a tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." That home invasion was first published by, like I said, a New York newspaper 197 years ago.
Wow. It's almost 200 years old. Wow.
Yes.
Well, as long as
published,
as long as the home invader was facing the homeowner, they could shoot him. If his back was turned, they can't shoot him over here. Captain Liberty, I gotta say, for now until, at least the next 10 years, you've got to call in and you got to read that to all of us every year at this time.
Well, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Will you shut up? No.